Thanks for joining us again on Cool Digest Friday as we put a wrap on TAMBUWAL'S defection and other issues arising. I'm joined now by another legal practitioner, Barrister Julius Ayola. Good morning and thank you for finding time to join us.
Good morning.
Section 68, subsection 1G. I wish we can quickly have that on the screen again. Of course, subsection 1 talks about a member of the Senate or of the House of Representatives shall vacate a seat in the House of which he is a member if, and that's what the G is saying, being a person whose election to the House was sponsored by a political party who becomes a member of another political party before the expiration of the period for which that House was elected, provided that his membership of the later political party is not as a result of a division in the political party of which he was previously a member, or of a merger of two or more political parties or factions by one of which he was previously sponsored. Don't you think this provision is actually even talking about membership of the House, not even speakership, so to speak?
Well, Honorary, let me just quickly say that a good number of us will make comments on the Constitution without having the needed background to explain what is contained in the Constitution. Because I heard the last speaker saying that even if there's a factor at the ward level, it's sufficient for you to say you are defecting to another political party. That is a terrible, very terrible interpretation of the Constitution. Let me say to you that the law is clear. You cannot be a speaker, first and foremost, unless you're a member of the National Assembly. So what you lose, basically, is not even the speakership. It is the membership that you lose. When the membership is lost, you don't ask for the speakership. In decent democracy, by now, Tambuwal ought to be out of the National Assembly.
There are other 37 members of the House who have defected a long time ago, but who are still members of the House.
Let me tell you, let us speak on what we know. Those members who defected before now defected on the basis of division in the party or in their respective parties, which of course could be verifiable. At that time, there was a lot of divisions going on, APC, MPP, and even in PDP. There was even when Tambuwal moved to PDP, you will recollect there was a merger. That merger is sufficient for him to move. So at that time, nobody cried any foul play because the Constitution says if there's a division in your party or there's a merger, then if you defect constitutionally. But as you speak now, there's no division in the PDP. And it's begging the question to say division at the world level.
How can you categorically confirm that? Earlier, we played the clips from a PDP elder statesman, Tony Anini, in his tour of northern Nigeria in what he called a peace tour of bringing peace into the neck and the leadership of the party. We also saw Abdul-Jalil Tafawa Balewa, a member of the PDP, who claimed that he has paid for the nomination form, the presidential nomination form, but who has not been given. Can you categorically confirm here that the PDP is not divided?
The PDP is not divided, and it's very funny that Mr. Tafawa Balewa is acting very pedestrian. Because we had Olusametu, the spokesperson for the PDP, saying that nobody, in fact, in any of the parties, you cannot make a far-reaching decision without the congresses.
Okay.
So no one can say for certain that Jonathan, the president, with due respect, is the sole candidate of the PDP. And I'm not aware that Mr. Tafawa Balewa has been denied access to donation forms. I'm not aware. I want to believe the PDP spokesperson, Olusametu, is very clear on it. The mind of the National Working Committee is not sufficient for the mind of the party. They are going to make a recommendation to the Congress that, look, let us have a sole candidate for the presidency. It doesn't mean that it's going to be binding on the PDP. It has to be discussed at the Congress level. That is the law. That is the position of the law.
Well, there are reports coming in that the NEC already decided on a sole candidacy for Mr. President.
That is not true to my knowledge. You see, most of the things we read in the papers are not true. Unfortunately, the PDP government is not very good with, speaking in the papers. The opposition have been drumming, a lot of lies in the papers. And you see, to discuss Nigeria, you have to be very, very careful and objective. The mere fact that somebody is not saying anything does not mean it's wrong.
What then is now responsible for the alleged denial of this particular man who already says he has paid for his nomination fee.
I like the word you used, Mr. Presenter. You said alleged. Alleged means not substantiated. You alleged.
He said that.
He said it. But I'm saying to you that the PDP spokesperson said it a few days ago that nobody has been denied access to get a nomination form.
But logically, does it make sense that Mr. President picked up the form yesterday, and after he has paid, he was there yesterday and he couldn't pick the form?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know about...
I am telling you that that is what he said.
I wouldn't know whether he said it or not. It's his prerogative to pick his form at any particular time, provided he pick the form within the time from the party. Okay. It's in order. He doesn't have to pick on the first date. He doesn't have to pick on a median date. He could pick whenever he likes, provided he picks his form within the time frame allowed for picking your forms.
But does it behove now? Let's get back to Tambuwal. Does it behove on the Nigeria police to execute literally this condition? I mean, this constitution, these sections 68 subsection 1.
Let me quickly say this. You see, every law contains 3 provisions broadly. We have the general provision, we have the default provision, then you have the mandatory provision. Now, the police themselves are not all daft. You can't be an IG, for instance, without being a lawyer, so to speak. Now, do you need to get the permission of the president as the chief, as the IG of Nigeria before you enforce the law? You don't need to do that. It's very clear. 68 says, shall vacate. In decent democracy, you don't need to go to court to start praying for court interpretation whether it should vacate or not. In decent democracy, Tambuwal ought to have left the house. That is the law. That's the position.
The prerogative obviously lies
The police has not done anything unreasonable.
Okay.
The police has just performed its functions.
But
Mr. Tambuwal has a right. He has a right to approach the court for interpretation whether the police have not violated the provision of the Constitution by withdrawing security aids. He could do that.
Let's quickly check on subsection 2 of this particular provision of the Constitution, where it says that the President of the Senate or the Speaker of the House of Representatives, as the case may be, shall give effect to the provisions of subsection 1 of this section. Does that not put that responsibility of execution solely on the shoulders of the #1 person in this particular situation?
You see, the drafters of our laws are very careful. They don't contemplate Section 68 to come into play. They don't contemplate it. And of course, the law cannot contemplate everything. What is normal for Tambuwal to do is to step down, pack his bags, and go back to Sokoto. That's the right thing. Then the Deputy Speaker will take charge. Because the idea of 68.2 is that it is a member who would possibly vacate the House. Then the Speaker will now do what is 68.2. The 68.2 does not contemplate the Speaker himself vacating defecting to another party. That's the problem.
Would you say that this provision of the law is ambiguous?
It's not ambiguous. It's very clear. The law is clear.
It's not clear as regards who will
you
execute.
Cannot be, you can't be a judge in your own case.
Okay.
If that provision that we just read provides that the Speaker or the Senate shall ensure that that member, his issue is discussed and is asked to leave the House, the Speaker cannot be discussing his own issue. It's not possible.
Who now takes up that responsibility?
That's the Deputy Speaker. That's the law. The Deputy Speaker will take charge. The moment he ceases to be a member of the PDP, not justifiably.
But even if that's the law, even the Deputy Speaker has not come to pronounce his seat vacant.
You see,
because as it is now, the House is on a recess.
The problem with Nigeria is that we politicize everything.
Okay.
That section does not require any politics. I know there are a lot of sentiment that we can whip around it, It doesn't require any sympathy. The same thing that applies to Tambuwal ordinarily should apply to Mimiko in Ondo State. Because Mimiko was elected as governor under the Labour Party platform, on the Labour Party platform. Upon his defection to the PDP, he is expected to resign that office. Because the Supreme Court has said Damechi and INEC that when you vote, you don't vote for personality, you vote for the party.
Why didn't that raise as much dust as this one is raising? Some have already started talking about the power, the incumbent federal power here. Do you see that played itself out? Just before you answer that, let's take this call from Ibrahim. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning.
Please go ahead quickly with your contribution.
I was just going to make comment on this issue. The defection, it happens in those where, hello?
Go ahead, please.
Where the Labour Party defected to the speaker. But I never said to do the security of that speaker in those states. Why now that it happened? So the idea was not be that section when that Olympic happened. There are some things that the people just believe that they are all in all whatever they are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, let me ask the barrister a question. The IG did not withdraw Mimiko's security detail. Neither did he withdraw the security details of lawmakers in Edo State who defected from the APC to the PDP. Why is the IG doing that now when it is happening now from PDP to APC?
You see, every issue has its own peculiarities. You have to isolate the issues and discuss them accordingly.
Okay.
I'm aware that in Ondo State, the Labour Party has issued some kind of ultimatum to the governor of Ondo State to either go back to the party. I'm
talking about the position of the police in this regard, not even the political party.
Look, the police have just performed very well. That's my humble view.
Why didn't they do that for Governor Mimiko?
You see, we are not privy to certain facts. Unless you know for certain what really happened, I will not give you any serious comment on it.
Okay.
But TAMBUWAL'S case was very well reported on the papers. We all know what really happened. In Ondo State, we don't know what really happened. And mind you, if you look at the provision of Section 68, it does not apply to the governor. 68 talks about members of the legislature, not the executive.
Okay. It's all right.
So you cannot really discuss Mimiko's issue under Section 68. It will be like, I mean, it will be as if you are putting the car before the horse.
How do you see all of these being solved and not deteriorating to the usual violence that we've experienced at the hallowed chambers?
If you see any violence in Nigeria, you should hold the elitists. I mean, you should hold the elites responsible.
Okay.
Our political class, they are power grabbers. They will do anything in this world to retain themselves in power. And because of the high level of poverty, people don't have really what you call economic empowerment to determine their own fate. So whoever offers them 1 or 2 naira, they take to the street. In this democracy, what is to be done is for someone who claims or who is supposedly a lawmaker to, in fact, he should be arrested. If you look at Section 57, it's very clear. If you look at Section 57, by now, Tambuwal should be arrested and charged. But of course, the court, I mean, the National Assembly is in recess. Section 57 says, if you know reasonably that you are not supposed to sit or participate in anything done in the National Assembly, then you have committed an offense. It's clear in 57.
Right.
You can look at it.
Ayola Julius is a legal practitioner. Thank you very much for joining us today on Call Digest. I felt so much like a judge. I had a lot of lawyers talking, but I wish I could pass a judgment on all of this, but I can't. Thank you so very much for watching today. Thank you for your contribution all across Nigeria. If you missed the show, all you need to do is watch a repeat broadcast at 12 midnight showing on Core TV News channel 329 on Star Times. Now, if you don't have access to that, just go to YouTube. It's youtube.com/Core TV, leave a space and news, and you'll get details of all of what we've discussed earlier today. Thank you so very much for being there. Core Digest continues tomorrow and, of course, on Sunday with Frank Omolape. But I'll be back on the show from Monday to Friday. I'm Nifemi Oguntoye. Stick around for the top of the hour news. Don't go away.
Core TV News, expanding your view.